It would just be for fun.
Hmm. Trades and trading cash is a big deal, and logistics has been much improved.
Yeah. And tag team call-outs as well.
Yep, that's good. What I would actually what I thought about the other day, I think a really great feature would be you can make like you can do in Universe mode is create tag teams, and their history is like stored, like how many title reigns they've had, how long they've been active. If one of them is on the roster, then the team becomes inactive, but it's still in like your saved like history. Something like that I think would be cool. And like saved cards and like champions would be really cool. A sort of like a database of everything you've done so far. I think that'd be pretty cool to like allow like sort of like lore in your own brand.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, firstly, general manager mode should have never been taken away in the first place.
No, it was only in 3 games.
Especially when the brand split was still active.
Yeah.
But I can understand why they would have taken it away when they, in like 2011, when they ended the brand split. I get that. And then, bring it back in like, what, 2K18? I can get why they would do that.
They wanted to do Road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but I've always thought that my GM should have been back as soon as the brand split came back, which I can understand 2K17 too late in development, but should have been back in 2K18. If they had done that and they just kept on working on it, like by now it would be insanely good. Hopefully, you assume so, but you know what it's like with 2K. They move at a snail's pace. Anyway, we're here to do predictions for AEW Revolution 2024. And for the first time in quite a few months, I am coming into this pay-per-view as the challenger. I've just lost my belt at the Elimination Chamber PLE. I've just lost it, so I'm hoping to regain it very quickly after losing it. In fact, I think it's been 1 week since just over 1 week since the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, I think.
Yeah, literally a week and 8 days.
Yep.
8 days it's been.
8.5 days. Yeah, so hopefully once again you'll be a transitional champion, but we'll have to wait and see. Unlike Elimination Chamber, this one doesn't have 4 matches. If you include technically it was 5. If you include the pre-show, I think this has, 11 or 12? It's got a lot of matches.
Yeah, it's got 11.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly check the card again, just in case they added another match that I didn't know about. Because sometimes they do that.
Haven't. It's 11 at the moment. I checked it when I was doing my picks.
If they have another match, it'll be one that they just have on the day, literally in like a couple of hours that we just don't know about.
Literally in 5 hours.
5 hours?
Yep. Around about 5 hours, the main show starts. Or 4.
Really? I thought it would be 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. No, you're right. I was trying to do quick maths and I failed.
Yeah, no, you're not fooling me. You're trying to do Steiner maths on me. You know what would be a great match to have on the pre-show is who would the opponent be? I'm trying to think. Scott Steiner versus Dalton Castle. Something like that. Or I don't know. What would you if you were to have Scott Steiner in a match on this show, who would it be against?
Danhausen.
Yes, that is the perfect choice. Scott Steiner versus Danhausen in a mathematics match for the TNA Beer Drinking Championship. You know that was an actual thing, eh? The TNA Beer Drinking Championship.
No, I didn't know that.
It was a James Storm creation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beer money and all that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's stop talking about TNA because that's dead again.
Yep, very much dead.
Yeah.
And it's only been 3 months.
Yeah. Like I guarantee Nick Nemeth is going to win the belt and then no one will give a shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we haven't had a pay-per-view for AEW since the end of last year with World's End.
What a great show that was.
Eh.
I remember it being actually okay, to be fair.
I think Edge versus Christian was the highlight.
That match was awesome. That match was awesome.
Yeah. And I think despite all the injuries, Joe winning the belt was pretty cool. But obviously you had the Undisputed Kingdom twist at the end with Adam Cole being the devil, which was really bad. And then a lot of the rest of the card was kind of just, it just felt like TV matches. Like you had Swerve versus Dustin Rhodes, and you had Abaddon versus Julia Hart, and yeah, it was just kind of, it just felt like TV wrestling for 4 hours. But yeah, as I said, Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage was the highlight, as well as the Lucha, like Kill Switch having to give up his opportunity and Christian Cage winning the belt back immediately after losing it. That was hilarious.
It was very good.
But anyway, it's been just over 2 months. We are now at Revolution, which I think over the years has kind of been seen as like a pretty reliable pay-per-view. The only exception is the very end of 2021. Not only was it in the pandemic, but also you had the pyro botch, and it made Eddie Kingston look like a joke.
Yeah, it was very.
Which is a shame because it came at the end of a great death match between Omega and Moxley.
Yeah.
Regardless, yeah. So we have Revolution, and there's a few things to talk about the show, but I think I'll probably get into them as we get into the matches. Talk specifically about all the news that's been going on. There's a lot of it. But if I were to say one thing, honestly, outside of maybe one or two of the main events, maybe three actually, I'll be generous because the women's division has actually been quite good lately. Outside of kind of like the big matches, I think a lot of this card is, whilst it could be really good, I think most people in the sphere of wrestling, a lot of the fans, aren't really talking about it. And this is kind of the big thing with Revolution, is that because it's in the middle of the road to WrestleMania, it's always overlooked. Apart from 2022, because that was when AEW was at its hottest, Revolution 2022, that's when you had the dog collar match with Punk and MJF. That's when Hangman was champion. It was a bunch of great things going on. That was the start of the Blackpool Combat Club. So AEW was just kind of undeniable in 2022 at the start. And the other one is 2020, because it was one of the best pay-per-views they've ever put on, and WWE was the drizzling shits at the time outside of NXT. So, but in terms of just in the general sense, especially since Trips has taken over creative, I think this part of the year for AEW is a bit of a dead end. So a lot of the undercard in the show hasn't been talked about as much as you'd hope so. And I think that, for me, it really is the biggest issue here, is that the only things that people are really talking about is Sting's retirement, the world title match, and the women's world title match. That's it, really. And that kind of sucks. Also,
yeah,
there's a bunch of other things on this card that were changed, which is a big shame. And let me just do one last check. Yep. I have just looked through the card. Where is Adam Copeland? Why is he not wrestling? Is he injured?
because I believe there was an angle where he got concertoed.
Right, I
Somewhere.
see. I guess maybe he'll return on this show. There was also supposed to be a bunch of CMLL wrestlers on this show, and then over 20 of them got their visas cancelled, and now only one of them is there.
Ooh, yeah.
That's really bad. That has properly kicked them in the dick. I think the original Sin Cara was supposed to be on the show as Mystico, because he's in CMLL.
Possibly.
Yeah, I can't remember
Yeah.
which Mystico it is. I keep forgetting which one's which. I know that Jorge, which is the one who played Hunico, has the tattoo and he's the second Sin Cara, but the first Mystico. It's very confusing. It's a very confusing Lucha Libre lore. I know that there's a bunch of injuries in wrestling, not only in the WWE, but in AEW as well. There's a bunch of injuries at the moment. That has kind of made things a bit difficult. And there's two other things I'll bring up, but I'll wait till we get to the actual matches themselves to discuss them. One of them in particular is pretty disgusting, but we'll get to it. So without going into the details of these matches, your thoughts going into Revolution?
It's a pretty It's a pretty difficult card to predict.
It is. AEW's usually
it's-
like that, to be honest. They make very.
It's a pretty stacked show. In all honesty, there's a lot of really good potential matches on this card.
Yeah.
And I think this will be a very good show.
Yeah.
I think this will be a very good show.
Do you think, obviously, with the biggest, like the most important matches, they have actually given it respect and done some angles for it, but do you think maybe that the undercard of this show, so sort of like the remaining 75%, it kind of fits into that thing I usually talk about? Tony Khan doesn't have that many stories going on, so he just throws a card to get it at the last minute, and then it ends up being really good anyway because the talent on the roster are so good they can just whip out great matches without an angle. I mean, I know they've had hours and hours and hours and hours of TV, but I just don't see a lot of chat about the undercard. Like, there just hasn't been too many.
I think there's
memorable moments.
The matches I think that have a lot of momentum going into it is probably Kingston versus Danielson, Storm versus Perezzo, the triple threat, and obviously the main event, which I'm assuming is going to be the main event.
Yeah, it is the main event. It was announced. Yeah, interestingly, to contrast to the pay-per-view from last weekend, well, PLE if you want to be technical, the one from last weekend had very little matches and was very predictable. This one has a lot of matches and is very unpredictable.
There's a lot of ways the show could go. There's a lot of matches that I think could go either way, but I'm obviously a bit confident where they're leaning towards. There's only two matches where my original picks I've changed in the last sort of hour.
Yeah, I've always thought this like the Revolution pay-per-view, where it is on the calendar, its job is to do something that stands out so that they actually get some attention during a time when they are fighting an uphill battle. Because this is the opposite end of the calendar for AEW. AEW's hottest area of the year is August, September, all in, all out. That's when they are having their sort of WrestleMania sort of area. That, like, if you remember back in August, September last year, AEW was white hot. It was so good. Collision was the best show on TV in wrestling. Dynamite was also really good as well. All In was at Wembley Stadium. All Out was 1 week after, and it was a great show. Like, AEW was firing in all cylinders back then. And at this point in the year, it's the other way around. Now this is where WWE is firing in all cylinders, and AEW has to try and be like, pick me, hello, I'm here too, by the way. Yeah. And, this is not just an AEW thing. It was exactly the same with WCW as well. They always struggled at this time of year because WrestleMania is just too big. It's undeniable. You can't beat it. Yeah. I was gonna say TNA, but TNA always struggled no matter what. They were always They never really had a period of the year where they were beating WWE for attention. I mean, I actually think that August period is quite an exciting time for wrestling because you have both SummerSlam and All In within the same month. That's pretty nice, I'd say. But yeah, as per usual, the setup should be good. Like, Revolution has great graphic design. AEW stages are usually reliably good on the pay-per-views, especially the big four, and this is one of the big four for AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And commentary is usually great for AEW. They have a lot of great commentators, so I think, and the crowd, obviously. This is now, funnily enough, this is at Greensboro Coliseum. It hasn't been released yet because I'm having an uphill battle with the copyright content ID with YouTube, so I don't know when it's going to be out, but eventually I'll find a way. But we, on one of the upcoming videos, reacted to a match from Greensboro Coliseum that was Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard. Magnum TA, who was going to be in the crowd for this match in the main event. So we are going back to that exact same building that match happened. The Greensboro Coliseum complex, which makes sense because it's kind of like the home of that territory, and that's where Sting that's where he became a household name, was in NWA, WCW. And the Greensboro Coliseum is kind of like their home turf. So it's nice that Sting is going to have his last match in that same building that's very cool. It was his thing. But it's going to be interesting for you, seeing you just watched a match that was in this building from 1985, and now you're going to see another one now, 39 years later. Jesus Christ. And yeah, it's strange, actually, because it's going to look very different.
It could really look very different.
Yeah. So, with that said, shall we start talking about the card?
Yes, let's go. Let's talk about this very, very stacked card.
It's a very stacked card. We'll go with the kickoff first. We'll talk about probably the match I have the least to say about. Well, actually, no, I've got a few things to say. We've got Julia Hart and Sky Blue versus Willow and Chris Statlander. You just cut out. Oh no, you're back now. I would say, why is there not a TBS title match on this show?
Because Julia Hart is apparently injured.
Yes, she is injured.
Apparently she got injured on World's End and has been carrying a niggling injury.
Yeah,
and maybe this match is going to be more angle than match.
I expect Sky Blue to take most of the load, and because of that, I am predicting Willow and Chris Statlander to win, because they are the ones that don't have an injured person on their team. Sky Blue can take a pinfall without Julia having to take one. That's what I've gone for.
Yeah, I've also gone for... That's also why I've gone for Statlander. I did originally go for Team Hart, but then I thought, because Julia's injured, apparently, then I think they're probably going to run an angle where she isn't involved in the match at all, maybe leaves halfway through, something of that avail, and Statlander and Nightingale get a win.
Yeah. Also, I feel like this is something that people don't usually talk about, because it seems like they only talk about this sort of thing when it's considered discourse, like with the Becky Lynch stuff, which is stupid. But Chris Statlander in AEW is actually really protected. She wins a lot of matches, and she barely ever loses clean. And I don't think anyone ever talks about that, but it's true. And it's usually a safe bet, I think.
Especially a match that probably doesn't have much stakes to it.
Yeah. But it makes sense because she's one of the best athletes on their roster. And she's... and I wouldn't say she's mega over, but she is over.
She's always over, yeah. She's always over.
I think she has her peaks and troughs. I remember... Well, I guess All Out 2021, everyone on that show was over except for QT Marshall. But I remember when she had the feud with Jade last year, Statlander was really over during that, when she was TBS champion.
Yeah, when she won the belt, yeah.
Yeah. That match, Jade's last AEW match, where they like hugged at the end, so what an ending. Like that, like what an ending to a run for Jade. That was just awesome. It was on Rampage, unfortunately, but that was because her contract literally expired the day after, so they couldn't do it on Collision.
Yeah, this is Rampage, baby.
This is Rampage, baby.
This is Rampage.
Yeah. Rampage is interesting because it's considered the C show, but there are actual storylines on Rampage that stay on Rampage, like Ruby Soho and Angelo Parker have been, and with Saraya and what's her name, bloody Harley Cameron.
Yeah. It's pretty much just an upgraded Dark.
Yeah, and they have, what was it, Santana and Ortiz that are feud on Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Willow and Statlander to win, just kind of makes sense. Yeah, so now let's talk about the main event of the pre-show. I have things to say. Why is Jay White on the pre-show?
Oh, because they've kind of ruined him a little bit since the Continental Classic.
Why is Jay White on the pre-show wrestling Willie Mack and Jeff Jarrett and Satnam Singh?
Yeah, Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Bang Bang Scissor Gang. Bang Bang Scissor Gang is not a bad idea. I think what will happen is I think they will have a fight at some point and it will lead to a match.
I feel like it's possibly the worst time to be doing this. I don't think you could have picked a worse time to combine these two teams at this specific moment. Coming off of the Continental Classic, after what happened at Full Gear, this kind of this feels very lower mid card.
That's because it is, and it's only been on what, Collision, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the stock of both these teams has fallen off quite dramatically, and it's not really the fault of anybody involved. It's kind of the booking has been really piss.
Well, about 6 months ago, both of these teams were really, really hot, especially the Bullet Club Gold. When CM Punk was on Collision, Bullet Club Gold was main event.
Yeah, it was. And since Full Gear, it's kind of it's been a bit of a messy kind of couple of months for them.
I mean, it's kind of being agreed that the booking of the Full Gear main event was a bit of a clusterfuck to varying degrees.
Yeah.
I don't think it's maybe as, like, some people say it's worst booking of all time levels. I don't think it's like that. It's not that level, but it definitely has done its damage. Firstly, Jay White isn't presented as main event as he was, and also MJF, as his title reign went on, his injuries got so much worse, and because of that, his matches were really a struggle. The other problem is obviously Adam Cole got injured as well. And Adam Cole getting injured has really messed up Jay White's plans long term. It's messed up a lot of things long term.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is unfortunate that Jay White is on the pre-show because he is a Wrestle Kingdom main eventer. In New Japan Pro Wrestling, he was like one of the top 3 guys for a bit. But regardless, we have the Bang Bang Scissor Gang versus Team TNA and Satnam Singh and Willie Mack and Private Party. I don't know, I just have to go with Bang Bang Scissor Gang because not only is it a sensible choice, but like if Team Jeff Jarrett win this match, I mean I feel like the only example where the Jeff Jarrett team winning could make any sort of sense is if Bang Bang Scissor Gang if Bullet Club Gold turn on the Acclaimed, they just walk out of the match and the Acclaimed get wrecked. That's the only example where I could see it possibly working. Outside of that, that side losing would be pretty catastrophic. The other thing is it's on the pre-show, and I think if they're going to do an angle, it should be on like TV or on actual pay-per-view. So yeah, I've got Bang Bang Scissor Gang to win this.
Yep, I've also got Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
I do
Very,
wonder
very easily.
if, because obviously, you know, the Acclaimed are the Trios champs and the Bang Bang Scissor Gang are the six-man ROH champs. I do wonder if they eventually feud, will they unify those belts so they only have one Trios division as opposed to two?
That's sort of been floated around, yeah.
Yeah. Because having two Trios belts under the umbrella is not a good idea because there's just not enough guys to make a division out of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it's just a shame that Jay White's on the pre-show because he deserves better. He's a main event guy. And as a New Zealander, I feel insulted. So, Tony Khan, you coke-snorting mark, you better fix your attitude, or I'm gonna raise hell. And my life was in danger, and I fired him with cause. Anyway, let's talk about the main show, because I'm done being sad about Jay White. Let's talk about the international title, Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong. I don't know who's going to win this. This is... I have a prediction, but Jesus, this could really go either way, honestly, I think. I think
Really?
that... Yeah, I think there is reason for either guy to win this. But... See, now I'm even tossing up. I had a name written down, but now I'm like, oh, but yeah. Because the reason why I'm so tossing up is that Roderick Strong is in an angle that revolves around a faction going after championships. He is also flanked by two other guys. But at the same time, Orange Cassidy is one of AEW's most protected wrestlers, and he is so synonymous with that belt. What I am going to say is this is my Androzani pick because I think it might be the one I'm the least certain on.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I mean, it's one of them. There's a few of them that I'm least certain on. There's another one or two on this card that I could also see going either way, especially one of the tag match later. Oh man, fucking hell. Okay, I'm gonna say Orange Cassidy to win. But it's my Androzani pick because I just don't know. This should be a great match, though. These two guys are amazing.
Yeah, it should be a very good match. I've gone for Roderick Strong.
Okay. I had Roderick Strong written down, but then I changed my mind at the last second.
No. Yeah, I feel like in order to make the Undisputed Kingdom actually work, they need to have belts, or they need momentum. They don't have any because the story's been shit, and it's been very unappealing to me personally since what happened at World's End. But if you're gonna fix it, if you're gonna go forward with it, you need to.
No, I'm going back to my original pick. This is too hard. It's too hard. I'm going back to my original pick. My instinct that I had yesterday when I wrote this is what I'm going with, and if it's wrong, I don't care. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. I'm going with Roderick Strong because I feel like, it feels like the smarter thing to do to put the belt on Strong, considering that's what they set out to do, and I'm assuming they are going to go forward with Undisputed Kingdom for most of this year, I imagine. So
the other thing about it is that, I mean, look, if I was booking creative, I would have Roderick Strong win. My only thing about it is that Orange Cassidy is really protected. But that said, Orange Cassidy needs something new to do. I think he needs a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
The international title's been great for him, but I think he needs another thing to do on AEW. the other aspect I would say is that
Cassidy
Roderick.
versus Christian Cage would be good.
Yeah, it would. The other thing I have to say about it is Roderick Strong winning a title could be great, and also it would do he would do something new with the belt.
Yeah, it would.
But yeah, this match should slap. These guys are both great. They're also great in different ways. I think they're, we talk about compatible Pokemon types. I think these guys are, because they're very different, but they're both great at what they do. Cassidy obviously he's a very good sports entertainer, but he's also a great athlete as well. And on top of that, Roddy Strong, big back-breaking, big back-breaking chiropractor, as well as being a sniveling heel and having the kingdom by his side. So yeah, we are predicting the default core to win. Well, arguably, since he's turned heel, he is no longer a default core.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my Androzani pick, so you're going to get less points than me on this one, no matter what happens. I think. Yeah. Because if we're wrong, if we're wrong, you get -1, I get 0, and if we're right, I get 1, you get half.
Yeah.
So there's a half to 1 point margin or whatever it's called. No, 1.5 point margin. That's it for you, and for me it's 1. Fuck, I'm confused. Mathematics. Yeah. So whatever. Moving on. Let's talk about another match where one of the people in this match has a crew surrounding them, but this time instead of the challenger, it's actually the champion, and that is Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. I actually think this is one of the things AEW's done really well lately. This feud has been really good. Obviously, Timeless Toni Storm and her whole act with Luther and Mariah May has been great as it is, but on top of that, you got Deonna Purrazzo coming in from TNA. She's now signed with AEW. These two have history. They were living together. They were friends. They have matching tattoos. But they've done an angle where Toni Storm has gotten a new tattoo to cover it up, and that's like an actual real tattoo they've changed. That's fucking insane. That's a lot of dedication. I love what they're doing with Deonna Purrazzo kind of be like, no, this is all an act. I know the real Toni Storm, and I know what you've done, and it's kind of great how they are trying to really sell to you that this Timeless Toni Storm thing is all a facade, and at some point it's going to fall apart, and we're probably going to see the real person under all the madness. I love what they've done with the promos where they have one half of the camera is black and white and the other half is color. It's absolutely hilarious. Luther and Mariah May have been great. Luther is fucking hilarious. He's just a great pantomime actor. And Mariah May has been having stiff matches on Collision and Rampage, just kneeing women in the head and never being able to get Toni Storm's approval or appreciation for it. As much as Purrazzo winning could be a good story, I think based on the fact that I know they're doing an adaptation of a story, and based on what happens in it, it would suggest that Toni has to hold the belt and defend against Mariah down the line. I think Toni Storm is going to retain here, but I think it will be a close... They will present it as a close match, and I think they will try to make you believe Deonna Purrazzo can win it. That's my prediction. I think Toni Storm's winning this. But again, there is precedent for Deonna Purrazzo winning as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gone for Toni Storm very, very quite easily. I think there's still more to do with this title reign. I think especially considering you got Mercedes Moné coming in very soon. I feel like that's going to be the biggest match they could probably do in the women's division.
They're going to do Mercedes Moné versus Serena Deeb. How exciting is that? That sounds like a slapper.
Yeah, it does. yeah, generally, I think that's probably the way they're going to go, and I think probably that's probably the smart thing to do, because again, I think that's the biggest match AEW can have right now with their women's division, and it is kind of needed
Yeah.
to solidify, that they're actually going to take the division seriously.
Well, two Dynamites
Um,
ago, they had two women's matches. Admittedly, they were short and they were in the same segment, but there was two matches.
yeah. Only two on this card overall, and one on the main show. So, yeah. Um, but I think Tony Storm is the safe option.
Yep. Toni Storm is great. She has been exceptional for the last year, I'd say. Like, the Outcast angle wasn't the best, but she was the best thing in it.
Yeah, quite easily.
Yeah. No disrespect to Ruby Soho. She's also talented, but just don't think she's been getting the best material. At least during that time, she wasn't. Unfortunately, Saraya hasn't delivered as much as we thought. Though I will say the Rampage stuff, like it's not what I would call ideal Saraya wrestling booking, but they have been telling a story with it, and it has been consistent on TV, so that is nice. And they've been doing a thing where Saraya's bringing in her brother. And I think, what was it? He beat Angelo Parker or something. That's nice. Zach Knight. And I imagine at some point they'll do a mixed tag with Saraya and Zach Knight versus Ruby Soho and Angelo Parker. That could be cool. With Harley Cameron, whose husband got squashed in 8 seconds by Bron Breakker on SmackDown.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's WWE being like, hey, actually, I wouldn't say it's. I think that a lot of things on SmackDown got cut short because of Dwayne Johnson and Roman Reigns.
Dwayne taking a long time to cut.
40 minutes. I love the meme online of the only guy I want to see a 40-minute promo from is Scott Steiner.
Yeah, like you could have cut that promo in half.
Yeah, they cut Tiffy time. Dwayne's going to get big heat for that. He's already getting heat. He's going to get even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck your story.
Great promo, but man, you could have cut it a bit.
Yeah, given that earlier that day he already had 21 minutes, so technically he took up an hour of our time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Roman, though, was great.
Oh, yeah, Roman. I mean, Roman has been great for a long time in terms of his performances. Booking-wise, maybe not so much, but performances, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the bloodline is Jimmy Uso.
Very funny, though, to be fair.
Yes, very funny. So, let's move on. We have... I'll let you start with this one, seeing as you sound enthusiastic. We have Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson for the Triple Crown Continental Extravaganza Electric Boogaloo Championship.
Ooh, my favorite.
Yeah. And I think, this one has a stipulation, I think? Let's see.
If Danielson loses, he has to shake Kingston's hand.
Yep. And for me, that makes this an easy one to predict. Yeah, I think Eddie Kingston has to win this match. Bryan Danielson has beaten this man so many times before. I want to see Eddie beat Bryan Danielson. I think this should be... they've had a long feud. I think this should be their last match. I think this needs to be Eddie's victory. This needs to, finally, Danielson has to actually show some respect to this guy. I could be wrong, but that's just what I believe. I think Eddie's going to retain his AEW, ROH, New Japan, Continental, World Strong Openweight Championship. That's what I've gone for.
I think This match is more unpredictable than I think. I think people realize. I think there's a world where Brian could win this match, and I think him winning with this stipulation, I think um, it could be very interesting in terms of Kingston's reaction, which is I think it's very intriguing to think about. I have gone for Kingston. I think
Mhm.
Eddie will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Danielson won.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's wholly predictable, but I just
No.
I just think like Danielson he's been massively just hating on Eddie Kingston on Collision lately, just sort of shoving it in his face nonstop.
Mm.
I mean, it's kind of like he took the CM Punk promo where he called him a bum. He's been doing that, but like on steroids.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, I think this match will be very good, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, all their previous matches have been bangers. That match they had
Oh,
in what was it, 2021, the tournament for the world title, the one where Danielson qualified to face Hangman, and that's the one where they basically did the Brock Undertaker finish from SummerSlam, but actually good, where Danielson got him in the triangle choke and Eddie Kingston pulled the finger and passed out. Yeah, that was great. So, yeah, should be awesome. Obviously, this is Danielson's last year as a full-time wrestler. So, I just feel like him putting over big names on pay-per-view is kind of it's kind of the way to go with Danielson.
hmm.
Especially because Eddie only just won the belt 2 months ago at World's End.
Yeah.
Although it is a bit strange that AEW now has a third men's mid-card title. Because they've got the Continental title, and they've got the TNT title, and they've got the International title. It's just, is it too much? Maybe. I mean, I've always thought, at what point are they going to start treating the international title like an actual international title again, like when Pac had it?
Yeah.
When are they actually going to have it? I mean, I guess Orange Cassidy defended the belt at a Rev Pro show recently. Well, that was pretty cool.
It was, yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, this should be Eddie Kingston as Bryan Danielson should be awesome. Next after that is, oh my god, I am looking forward to this bloody match. We have Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell, this... Oh, I've got high expectations for this. This better not disappoint. Like, I don't want to see a AJ versus Nakamura at WrestleMania 34 level of disappointment here, because this fucking match should be an absolute slapper. But in terms of the feud, both men are part of the Don Callis family, so technically this is actually heel versus heel, but I think this may turn Ospreay
Yeah.
babyface.
Ospreay's definitely playing babyface right now.
Yeah, but he's just kind of, I guess maybe he's just not quite. He's not quite put it on them yet. He hasn't turned on Don Callis yet, or Don Callis hasn't turned on him. So I could see a world where Callis screws Ospreay, but this is his first pay-per-view match after signing with the company. I think he's just got to win, honestly. I think Ospreay just has to win this match.
Yeah. There could be if they did the turn, like if Don Callis' family turned on Ospreay here and gave uh fucking how do you pronounce his name? Takeshita.
Konosuke
Um
Takeshita. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Takeshita yeah. If they gave him the win,
Or as Jim Cornette calls him, take a shit.
Or how MJF called it, take a shitter.
Yeah, take a shitter.
Yeah. If he won through interference and eventual turn on Ospreay, then that's very possible. I think that's the only way you give Takeshita the win.
Mm.
And considering they're building him up a lot, considering he last summer pinned Kenny Omega twice in a week.
Twice in 1 week, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but this match should be, honestly, this match will be awesome. This would be really, really good.
Yeah, we could genuinely, if they give this the right amount of time and the right kind of booking, this could be 5 stars easily. These two are just, these are two of the best in-ring athletes in the world right now in wrestling. Like, genuinely unbelievable. And they both also have massive balls and will do crazy shit. And also, this is not an unknown. They've wrestled before in Japan, and we know they have chemistry. So,
yes.
Yeah. But now it's on like a big American stage, on a big pay-per-view. You know, it should be exceptional. I've noticed in the last while on AEW pay-per-views, they usually slap the best match like right in the middle of the show. They did it with Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage. They did it with Swerve versus Hangman at Full Gear. At was it Wrestle Dream before that? They put I think what was it they put in the middle? Was it I'm forgetting now. Let me look at this. Let me remember this. Wrestle Dream was
if this was if it was the exact same card but WWE were booking it, I feel like this would open the show. This kind of match.
Yeah. They put
NXT. It would be the All Star.
Yeah, I remember. So it was Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre. That was the match I was thinking of from Wrestle Dream. Mm-hmm. Best match in the middle. Same thing with All Out. They did Danielson versus Starks. Was it a strap match? I think
it was a strap match on All Out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. All Out. Yeah, strap match again. They've been doing this for a while. I think Ospreay versus Takeshita might be in the middle of the show, and it's probably going to steal it.
Yeah, it's either middle of the show or opener.
I mean, yeah, as you said, if it was WWE, it would be opening the show, but I just don't think AEW does it like that. I think AEW likes to put this match at the 2-hour mark. I have noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up in that spot.
Yeah, I have a prediction of what's going to open the show.
Yeah, I have a feeling you might be right, and I think I know we probably have the same one. Anyway, Ospreay versus Takeshita should be an absolute slapper. Then after that, we have for the TNT title, this looks to be tasty. We have Christian Cage versus Daniel Garcia. I am really looking forward to this. I love both of these men. I think I have loved Daniel Garcia ever since he debuted in 2021 when he had that run as main event Garcia, and he was I remember when CM Punk came back, we're this guy's been in 3 matches on TV and he's main eventing against CM Punk. What's going on here? But genuinely, he is so fucking good at what he does. And I don't actually remember if we have done predictions and reviews for a Garcia pay-per-view match yet. I don't think we have. Unless it was a big tag team match, but not a singles. Definitely not a singles.
I think probably a pre-show match.
Yeah, I think you might be right, but we haven't done a big singles match on pay-per-view for him yet. On this, and
at least I don't think so.
Now, as expected, this feud exists because Daniel Garcia's father is dead, and of course because of that, he has to feud with Christian Cage because he feuds with everyone with dead dads. I think that with this feud, I haven't watched every segment, but I think we are getting to a point with Cage where the dead father thing started as ooh, you disgusting cretin, then it became a meme with Nick Wayne, and it was really funny for a long time, and it has always been funny in its own sort of way. But I think now that we're close to 2 years into the dead dad thing, I think there has to be a payoff to this because I think now people are starting like we should get to a point where it's like, okay, I think joke's over, Christian. I think you should just shut the fuck up now and go away. And I love Christian Cage, and the Patriarchy is a great faction, but this needs to now come full circle and start being disgusting again as opposed to funny.
Daniel Garcia was in the 8-man tag at World's End.
Yes, he was. You're right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's what.
Regardless of that, we have. Oh, Jesus Christ. See, as much as I would love for Daniel Garcia to win this match, I just
Yeah.
I just can't predict it. It's too much of a risk. It's too much of a gamble to predict Daniel Garcia. Christian Cage has Killswitch, Mother Wayne, and Nick Wayne by his side. He's also a veteran. He's also had a great reign with the TNT title. It's just, I imagine this may come back around and Adam Copeland may face him again and win the belt again without it being taken off. I don't know what they're going to do. Adam Copeland may return on this pay-per-view, but I'm not sure. But regardless, I predict Christian Cage to win, but I think this will be a really fun match. Both of these guys not only can wrestle, but they're also really charismatic, and yeah. This will be fun. This will be a lot of fun, I reckon.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely got Cage for this this match.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel Garcia was kind of like the dark horse in the Continental Classic. I think he lost the most matches, but he came out looking really impressive, and I think even when it was impossible for him to qualify for the final, he still managed to pull out a victory. And ever since he's left Jericho, it's done great things for him. The other thing I love about Garcia in recent times, I don't know if it'll be on this show because there's been issues. I think Matt Menard has something going on with him. Nothing heinous or anything, just like a personal issue. But Matt Menard has been on commentary for Garcia's matches, and it's like his uncle is seeing his nephew like slip away from him, the way they've been doing the commentary, and it's a really interesting story they've been telling, where like Matt Menard is like, this guy's under my wing, but it's like he's losing control of Garcia. And I think at some point we will see Garcia versus Matt Menard in a match. Because, yeah, and I think Garcia being able to break, because he was brought in as part of that 2.0, sort of stable that then eventually morphed with the Jericho Appreciation Society. And obviously Angelo is busy with the Ruby Soho storyline, so it's more about just Matt Menard himself. I don't know if he'll be on this show, but yeah, I think that's where we're headed. I think Garcia has to lose this for that story to take place. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Garcia versus Menard at the next pay-per-view, which apparently is called Dynasty. Yeah. Any more thoughts about this match?
Should be a very fun one. Very fun match.
Yeah. So, the next match, unless I'm remembering incorrectly, I believe this match has been thrown together, and it's because of the CMLL visa problem.
Yes.
With 20-odd Lucha Libre guys being chucked out of America, which is really sucks for AEW, because they had an awesome invasion angle going on with the Blackpool Combat Club. But because of that, they've had to makeshift a tag match, which honestly, to be honest, as a makeshift match, this should be a banger, even though technically I think both sides are considered babyface, sort of. Blackpool Combat Club are kind of tweeners. It's hard to say, really, if they're babyface or heel. But yeah, we have FTR versus Moxley and Claudio. Yeah, I've got FTR to win this, and the reason why I have FTR to win is because they are a tag team, and they specialize more in tag team wrestling. That's literally the only reason why I can really predict them, because I don't know what story there is to this match, because there isn't one, and it's because there was a story with CMLL, and then that got tossed away because of Visa. So yeah, that's all I've got really. But this should be a really fun match. Both these teams are great.
Yeah. Oh yes, it should be very fun.
Yeah. Who have you got to win?
Yeah, the scramble match is
No, we're not talking about the scramble match. We're talking about the
Oh,
tag
we're
team
not.
match.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. My bad. Oh god. Yeah, the tag match is very because they had a match on this past Dynamite, which I believe, if I remember correctly, either went to time limit draw. I believe.
Yeah, it was. It was a time limit draw, and it got a bit
Yeah.
of heat because they already did that a couple of weeks ago with Swerve and Hangman, which was an amazing match, by the way. And they did a double turn.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Yeah, I have a feeling that this is going to be very close to another time limit. This match could go either way, but I've gone for Blackpool Combat Club.
Okay, so we finally have deviated.
I'm not confident. I think this match could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Blackpool Combat Club is they could win if the idea was to bring the CMLL guys back, but visas are really hard to get fixed. That is not an easy task. And it seems like the issue here is actually one there's no certainty whether it's going to be reversed or not. It seems pretty bad. The only other thing I can think of maybe, the thing is, we were saying this about All In as well, is that apparently Cash Wheeler has now been charged with criminal offenses for his gun dispute thing. Like, he's actually getting criminal charges now for that, and if... Yeah, that's awkward. That's really awkward. I don't know what they're going to do about that, but, I don't know, I couldn't really come up with a good reason for either. I just thought, well, FTR's a tag team. Blackpool Combat Club are kind of a tag team, but I don't know. I'll go with FTR, I guess. Should be a great match. Now, let's talk about the Scramble match. I have a few things to say about this. This was supposed to be the Meat Madness match, but both Miro and Keith Lee were not cleared to compete, unfortunately. Miro suffered an injury in September, I assume either at All Out or near it. He got his treatment done in January, just after the match with Andrade at World's End. And he's still not cleared to compete. The other thing is Keith Lee he has been out of action since World's End, just before that. I hope he's okay. I do worry about Keith Lee. We know he's got a lot of health problems, especially since COVID, when he nearly passed away from COVID, which is that's hard. That's a hard one to, especially, and this is quite, unfortunately, this is quite a serious thing, because obviously Bray Wyatt passed away after getting COVID, and if we were to lose another wrestler to that kind of illness, I would be I think the wrestling world just, Jesus Christ. Get well soon, Keith Lee, that's all I'll say.
Yeah,
It's really sad because, before he got COVID, Keith Lee was on, he was having a hell of a career in NXT.
Yeah.
He was so damn good, and then he's just never been... I mean, obviously the tag run with Swerve in 22 was also great. I loved that as well. But, man, in the last year, that guy has... I'm just concerned, to be honest. I'm just concerned about Keith Lee. But, anyway, they've decided to hold off on the Meat Madness. I actually think the Meat Madness gimmick is a bit cringe anyway, because it's almost like when they acknowledge the meme and they make it an actual thing, which is kind of what WWE would do, so that's really not on for Tony Khan to do that. They've gone for the Scramble match. I am interested. Is this going to function the same way that the Scramble matches did in 2008 WWE? Because those were championship scrambles, whereas this is a contenders match. I do wonder about that. that if you remember 2008, I think it was what was it, Unforgiven 2008. Brian Kendrick was briefly the WWE champion in that match, but he didn't finish it as champion, so he didn't win it.
Hmm.
Yeah, the championship scramble was a stipulation that they kind of did like just on that night, really, and they never really brought it back because it didn't really work. So I'm interested to see how AEW does it, if it has different rules or if it has like a different booking philosophy. But regardless, we have Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Lance Archer. The three of those men were going to be in the Meat Madness match, so now they're in this. We also have Hook, we have Brian Cage, we have Dante Martin, we have Magnus, which not to be confused with Nick Aldis, who is the SmackDown general manager, whose name was Magnus in TNA. This is a Lucha Libre from CMLL called Magnus, one of the only ones to not have his visa taken from him. And Chris Jericho, who seems to be the poison in everything at the moment. But at least he is being tucked away in a big multi-man match, so I can say that's probably the best use of him, rather than being a parasite and sucking the life out of someone in a singles feud, like he has done before. Although, unfortunately, we may have to deal with a Jericho Wardlow feud at some point in the near future, which would be really cringe. Anyway, for me, the winner of this match is not certain, but for me, it's pretty obvious. I predict Wardlow to win this. He has cut some of the best promos of his career in the last couple of weeks, especially the one from Dynamite. That is probably his best promo he's ever done, where he, talks about how, he destroyed CM Punk, which he did about 2 years ago on Dynamite. He squashed him and nearly won, and he got rolled up. Punk has been injured and injured and injured and injured since then, which is actually true. He talked about how he squashed MJF and never got a title shot, despite the fact that MJF was champ for a year. He's been screwed over time and time again. He lost his passport. He had his car broken into. He couldn't travel to Canada when they had their tour. His TNT title run was fucking abysmally ruined by the booking. He has basically come out and said, I am the biggest star in this company and I still haven't been recognized for it. It's time for me to challenge for the world title. Yeah, I think any other option wouldn't work. I think Wardlow's going to win this. And he should win this.
Yeah. Yep. I very much agree.
Yeah, it's time to get Wardlow back to where he was 2 years ago. Because if you remember, it was Revolution 2022 when he handed CM Punk the diamond ring and turned babyface. And now he's a heel again. But yeah, it's Wardlow's time. And the Undisputed Kingdom needs Wardlow to actually prove something.
Yeah. I've also, Wardlow is, I think, the choice. I think for this match, it should be very fun, minus Jericho. A lot of really good talent in there, minus Jericho, and yeah, I think it'll be a very good match if we ignore Jericho.
Yeah, the thing with Chris Jericho, obviously he is talented, but it's just his expiry date is long gone. Which is funny because we're talking a guy in the main event who's having his last match on the show is much older, and you'd think would be more expired, but he somehow isn't.
Yeah.
Babyface Jericho in AEW just kind of sucks, to be honest.
Not very fun to watch.
The only exception, I think, would probably be All Out 2021 against MJF. They actually booked that really well. Remember when MJF came out with the Jericho Titantron? That was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was a great match. But, yeah, Babyface Jericho in AEW just... I mean, to be honest, Babyface Jericho in general has never been my favorite. He's always better as a heel.
Oh, no, definitely not. Definitely not.
He's just too much of a cringe dad. I think the only exception is probably Attitude Era Jericho. That's the only time he worked as a babyface. When he was feuding with Triple H in 2000, that he was actually really good as a babyface during that. But come on, that was like 24 years ago now. And I guess maybe you could count, the Festival of Friendship as him being a babyface because he was really over. But it started as a heel gimmick that just turned into a babyface one because it got over. Mm-hmm. And as we've said before, the WrestleMania match got downgraded, so in the end, it didn't work out.
Nope.
Yeah. The best Chris Jericho is the one who punches Shawn Michaels' wife in the face. And the best Chris Jericho is the one who, pours alcohol on CM Punk because he's straight edge. Or, the one who, the one who, it's that Jericho. That's the best Jericho. The one that hugs Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania after their match and then kicks him in the nuts.
Or Festival of Friendship, Jericho.
Yeah, Festival of Friendship. Goes out on Nitro and reads his 1004 holds.
Mm-hmm.
Dean Malenko, you're the man of 1,000 holds. Well, I'm the man of 1,004 holds. Armbar. Yeah.
Armbar.
Or Chris Jericho at the start of 2022 when he's like, I am a sports entertainer. And here is Daniel Garcia, a sports entertainer.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wardlow for the win, please, Tony Khan.
Please, pretty please.
Right, we have 2 more matches to talk about. Pretty big matches. We have the triple threat match for the AEW World Championship. Is this your prediction to open the show?
No, it was the Scramble match.
Oh, I see. Okay. I was wondering if you were going to say this one.
No, this is pre-main event. This is the penultimate match of the show.
Yeah, okay. Right then. We have Samoa Joe versus Swerve versus Hangman Adam Page. This is actually one of the things AEW's been doing really well recently, this feud. This is fucking great. Mm-hmm. Joe as champion.
Swerve double.
Oh my god.
So really, really good.
So
and
this
really well.
This feud carried one of the recent Dynamite episodes to be rated as like either the highest or one of the highest ever on Cage match. It's like genuinely unbelievable how well they've done with this. Joe as champion has been just faultless. He's been so good. Every promo, every match, everything has been perfect. He'll whip anyone's ass. He doesn't care if you're a babyface or a heel. You're in his way. You're fucked. And then you have Swerve and Hangman, which was one of the best feuds of last year. Every match they have is an absolute classic. They turn Swerve babyface and they turn Hangman Adam Page heel. It is so refreshing to see Hangman do something completely new in AEW.
Yeah.
He has finally embraced it. This is the first time Hangman has been a heel since the Bullet Club. It has been that long. It's like 6 or 7 years. And Hangman has grown out his Magnum TA mustache, which has been awesome. I fucking loved how they teased, because it looked like Hangman got hurt in a match, and people online were saying, oh shit, he's injured, is he going to make the pay-per-view, is it going to be singles? Hangman Adam Page on Dynamite faked his injury, and then he whacked Sting with the crutch and re-entered himself in the match. Fucking brilliant. This is what AEW is all about. This is what it should be up and down the card, this kind of thing. It's like people say, Tony Khan's booking, blah, 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 blah. But when he gets it right, when he really gets it right, it's like this. You have these 3 guys who are mega over in a great story, and they're all really different, and they all have great matches, and fuck, man, this match should be a slapper. I think that a lot of people have said this, and I think this is probably the right choice. Hangman Adam Page being in this match is so he can take the fall, so that Swerve doesn't have to lose. Because I think they want to have Joe have the belt for a bit longer before Swerve inevitably wins the belt. It has to happen this year. Swerve is, he just has to win the belt. I think Samoa Joe is going to retain, and he's going to pin Hangman Adam Page. And this is risky because there is precedent for Swerve to win this match. But I'm going to pick Samoa Joe, and I'm going to have it as my Genesis pick. Because I think I have to really strike with confidence with one of these matches, and I'm going to choose this one. I was potentially going to choose the main event as Genesis because of double points, but I think with the main event, it's a little bit less predictable who's going to win that one. Whereas with this one, I'm pretty confident Joe is going to retain. And then down the line, I don't know if it'll be before or after the Wardlow match, but I think Swerve is going to take the belt off Joe.
I think all three of these guys have a very good chance of winning. This is a very tough match to call. I could see Joe winning. I could see Hangman Page winning. I could see Swerve winning. So it's really, really tough. But the choice I've gone for is a choice I think would be the most interesting coming out of this show. And it is my Genesis pick. I've gone for Hangman Adam Page.
Oh, that is a gamble. This is a gamble.
I could easily see Swerve winning and Joe. But Page winning, I think, with this new character he has, with the belt, I think could be very interesting.
I don't disagree that would be a great idea. That would be fucking... Hangman Adam Page as a heel regaining the title. Also remember, when he lost the belt to Punk, he almost did a heelish thing by hitting him with the chair or the belt or whatever it was. I can't remember which one it was. And he dropped it. It was with the belt, and he dropped it. And if Hangman Adam Page were to win this match by hitting one of the two guys with the belt and pinning them,
that was awesome.
Especially because, let's not forget, originally this was supposed to be CM Punk beating MJF. At least that's what I think it was supposed to be. If it was Hangman actually hitting Punk with the belt and winning back the championship, that would have been a hell of a story to tell. But regardless, they've slotted Joe into the spot. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go with I think Samoa Joe is the safer option. Hangman is probably the most dangerous option. But if it were to happen, it could be legendary because it's the Hangman is the guy in this match that people say isn't going to win. In fact, they say he's going to take the fall. But if it were to happen, I think the crowd would be genuinely shocked if Hangman won this match. And heel Hangman Adam Page as champion. Oh boy. That is some juicy content right there.
Yeah, it's a big gamble.
Yeah. But yeah, this match should be great. This should be a slapper. It's sad that Kenny isn't on this show because obviously he had diverticulitis. He's still recovering. I would be really interested to see... I'm interested to see what happens when Kenny comes back to TV because the rest of the Elite are all heels now. It's an interesting circumstance we're in.
Definitely.
Yes. Now, here we go. This one comes with a heavy heart because if anyone's seen my 25 favorite wrestlers video, they'll know that Sting is one of the GOATs, in my opinion. He is just one of the most easily lovable baby faces ever in wrestling. He just has this charisma you can't create. And at 64 years old, this guy can still go. We have the last match of Sting's long career. at the Greensboro Coliseum, where he made his name, for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. In the main event, we have Sting and Darby Allin versus Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, EVPs of AEW. No longer going by the Young Bucks, because they have turned heel. They wear suits, and they grew out Vince mustaches, which was fucking hilarious. They are not only taking the piss out of Vince, but they're also taking the piss out of what CM Punk said about them. They're basically being like, "Oh, all these people are so immature here. We need some real men in this place." it's the fucking funniest shit, and I'm so happy because remember, at the end of last year, what we said is that the Young Bucks was so stale, like they were genuinely getting really stale, and they have completely flipped their gimmick on its head, and they're doing something so new and different. And yeah, Sting and Darby Allin beat Starks and Big Bill for the titles. It was great to see. Sting is still undefeated in AEW. The last wrestling match that Sting lost was Night of Champions 2015. Can you believe it's been that long? That was 8.5 years ago since Rollins broke Sting's neck. Yeah. What the hell? We get some weird comments on this video. Sting's matches in how many hours? I guess it would be probably about 5 hours, maybe 5.5. And Shiitake mushrooms. Liana is 13-year-old. I don't know what the fuck that's about. Is that from Spy? Is that from Spy Kids 2? Because I know they say shiitake mushrooms in that film.
Shiitake mushrooms, yeah. I have no idea what that means.
Steve Buscemi does a speech about God.
I mean, to be honest, the Sting match is going to be the main event. It's going to be at the end of the show, so...
Yeah. The pay-per-view starts in 2.5 hours, but Sting's match will be at the end of the show.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, Sting and Darby Allin versus Matt and Nick Jackson. Sting chose the Young Bucks as his opponent for the final match. He decided that they would be what he wanted. I think this match is going to be quite emotional in a lot of ways. I think they will really play on the feelings with this. I think it'll also should be a great match. I think Sting will go all the way. I think he'll pull out everything he has because he's obviously going to retire. So if he needs to get any surgeries, he can. Just please don't die. That's what I have to say. Just please don't die, Sting. That's my one request. This could go either way in terms of results, but Sting is an old school guy, and he is an old school wrestler. I think the Young Bucks will win this. I think Sting wants to lose his last match. I think that he is one of those guys that came from that old territorial system where putting someone over before you leave your territory is considered etiquette. And I think Sting believes... I mean, obviously, it is Tony Khan's decision who wins this match. So, he could disagree and they could change it. They could have Sting and Darby win. But I've gone for the Young Bucks. I just think, knowing what Sting is like, I think he will want to go out with the Young Bucks pitting Sting shoulders to the mat. And I think the Bucks will win the belts. They will win the belts again. It's not an easy one to call, but that's what I've gone for. But I'm really looking forward to this match because I think they've really done a great job of presenting these characters. There was one weird Darby Allin promo, admittedly, but apart from that, yeah, they've done a lot of respect to this feud. They had on Dynamite, they had Sting come down from the rafters for one last time. That was awesome, like his Nitro entrance. I think we will get some really cool presentation in the entrances to this match. I think we'll probably get to see, like a sort of cool, I mean, Sting and Darby do that anyway, but this is because it's Sting's last match. I think they'll do a lot for that. I imagine they might do the I'm sorry, I love you sarcasm thing the Bucks did with Chris Daniels a few years ago. I would love to see them do I'm sorry, I love you double super kick and then he no-sells it. That would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, this should be great fun. I predict the Young Bucks to win, and then Sting will end the show retired. It's going to be super emotional, but yeah, that I think a lot of people are really looking forward to this. I think even people who usually only watch WWE will probably, if they're going to watch this show, it's because they want to see Sting's last match, because he's just such a legend. So yeah, that's my ramble. Your turn.
Yeah, I think this match will be minus Ric Flair, very emotional and intense. I imagine Sting is going to be rocking the singlet full on. I'd be very surprised if he didn't go full out.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna go. We're gonna get full like Starcade 1997 Sting. You know,
Mhm,
and he'll do all the greatest hits.
mhm. Yeah, definitely. And I think that
Oh,
this match, once it's like Bucks win, um, it's going to be
hang
a
on,
very
hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. I just had to reset it to Singapore because you were cutting out.
Okay, no worries. Once the match is over, when the Young Bucks win, because that's who I predicted to win,
Mm,
um, it's going to be a very emotional last couple minutes of the show, which is kind of what the show is kind of all about. So there's a strange way I could see Sting and Darby lose. No, win, sorry. And they vacate the belts, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Young Bucks do win the match. And this is in case it's wrong, this is my Androzani pick.
I was gonna ask that, but yeah, fair enough.
Because there could be a way that Sting and Darby do win, but I think it's probably going to go to the Young Bucks. And if
Yep,
so, that means you would only get 1 point and I'd get 2.
yep. Now,
Since it's the main event.
yeah, but it should be a very emotional match, very like drama heavy, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think it's. I think we're gonna look back on Sting's AEW run and be like, for a guy in his 60s, I think they did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think Sting is going to be very banged up after this match. I think he's going to go all the way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. My favorite wrestler, Sting. I was a little 5-year-old girl back in 2001. Well, that's awesome. It's going to be a very emotional day for you then. Yeah, there's a lot of stingers that are going to be in tears today. A lot of stingers. A lot of very emotional people that were kids when Sting was in his prime.
Yeah, this is going to be it's funny because the second ever pay-per-view I watched was Survivor Series 2014 when Sting debuted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously my first Mania was Sting versus Triple H.
Yep. I've on the network I've watched a lot of WCW pay-per-views. I've obviously seen quite a bit. I've seen a good chunk of his TNA run. I saw his WWE run. I've seen his AEW run. I can't think of a time when this guy wasn't over. I feel like he has been over for his entire career since day one. I mean, maybe I can't remember if he was over in World Class, but it's certainly once he, stepped into, WCW and built himself up to face Ric Flair in '88. Like, this guy has just been over forever and never stopped. He never slumped. He was always over. Everywhere he went, anyone he faced against, he was always over. He is just so lovable. He is such a lovable wrestler, lovable guy. And people talk about like it's because obviously World Wrestling Federation, apart from a couple of years during the Monday Night Wars, WWF was always considered the bigger company during a lot of that time. But when you really look back and you look at how age has treated the past, you look at how Hulk Hogan is viewed now in hindsight, even though he was a bigger star because he was with the bigger company and he had the bigger name and everything. All of the stories that come out about Hogan, all of the stuff, when you look back at his matches, you look back at the booking, you look back at the backstage politics, the racism, the bullshit, the creative decisions he's made. Hogan now just has so many blemishes on his career when at the time he was so over and so legendary. You look at the other side, you look at WCW, you look at Sting. This guy is aged like fine wine. He is just as loved now as he was then. All the stories you hear about this guy backstage, he is universally respected and loved among everyone. He is a genuinely nice guy. He is a great, charismatic babyface. He has a connection with fans. He makes matches always entertaining, even when he's old and limited, even when he can't do his athletic best. He always finds a way to get the crowd invested in his matches. He's put Darby Allin on the map. Yeah. I have nothing but love for Sting. I think he is amazing, and I'm blown away that he's been able to last this long. And I'm really optimistic and hopeful that his last match is a great match, because his last match in WWE was a train wreck with Seth Rollins, and I'm glad that he finally is getting to go out on a high with respect, even though he never got to face Undertaker, which is a shame. He should have. But, injuries happen. And WrestleMania 32 is a bad show for a lot of reasons, and that's one of them. But, yeah. I am, very looking forward to seeing how Sting ends his career.
Mm-hmm.
And enters his, only appearing in segments as a character phase of his run. And did you see the letter that his son wrote about him, about his dad?
No, I didn't.
It's on Twitter. It's genuinely it's really nice what he said about his dad. How he's never known a time when his dad wasn't a wrestler and wasn't a superhero. Ever since he was born, Sting was in the business. It's going to be different for him to see his dad no longer as a wrestler. But yeah, I genuinely, it's great that, in an industry where you're looking back at all these names from the past that have just gone down in their reputation because of all the stuff that's been revealed about them. A lot of these names that, were once held as greats are now, it's sad that you can't really see that anymore. But I love that we have Sting, one of the guys that is just, he's just seemingly was a great guy all the way through, and he never let the pressure of being in a business like this compromise his morals. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that guy. So yeah, great stuff. Now, question. I am challenging you to up the ante with this pay-per-view.
Oh my.
Do they announce Kazuchika Okada on this show? The rumor is that he's going to debut the week before Mercedes. But do they announce him on this show?
No.
Okay. I am going to say yes. So that's another point of difference.
Alrighty.
Yep. I can't think of anything else, though. to add. I think that's
If
probably
he
enough.
just turns up, I'm assuming you're counting that as a point for you.
Obviously, but I mean, like, an announcement would be like the commentators or Tony Khan saying Kazuchika Okada, just saying his name, as in he is coming to AEW. This, or he turns up. It's either or counts for me.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think he's going to be announced on this show?
Not for whenever, yeah, but soon he'll be there.
So you think his announcement's going to be on Dynamite in the future?
Most likely, possibly.
Okay. All right.
Maybe.
Because I can imagine Tony Khan and his little spaceship on the screen going, on Dynamite in 3 weeks, Kazuchika Okada. Like he did with CM Punk for Collision. Yeah. Oh, I have a question for you. This is not a prediction. What is the best possible thing they could do with Ric Flair on this show, given that he is going to be involved?
Let him have a nap backstage.
No, but saying he had,
just...
no, let's say he has to be involved on screen. What's the best case scenario?
He just sits there. He doesn't do anything. When the match is over, he hugs Sting, and that's it. Do not let this man do anything because he can hardly fucking move at all.
Yeah, what was it like when was it on Raw during the pandemic? Randy Orton like whacked him and then he had to catch him.
Did you not watch Dynamite or the clip of Dynamite? Him.
I think I did see that.
Him walking to the ring very slowly. Apparently, he started with the Young Bucks at some point. I haven't paid attention to the full story. He then poked them in the eyes and slowly just did very robotic chops because if he moves any further, his bones will break in half.
Yep.
Because he's really fucking old.
Yeah,
he shouldn't be doing this.
It's exactly the same thing as like when Hulk Hogan was teasing to be in the Royal Rumble. We're like, no, do not go in the Royal Rumble. You will die. I mean, Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair in TNA was over 10 years ago, and that was too late. Is Ric Flair... I was thinking we could predict, is Ric Flair going to bleed on this show? No, we won't do that. That's silly.
Yes, you will.
No, I'm not going to count that as an official prediction, but yeah, that'll be... Oh my god. Okay, well, I believe the kickoff is going to commence not too far from now.
4 minutes from now.
Yeah, so probably a good time to wrap up these predictions, but yes. Good luck, Sting. Please have a good match. Don't die.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say before we end this predictions stream?
It's probably going to be a good show, I imagine.
I think I might start watching Dynamite weekly again when Okada and Mercedes come, because I think that would be a good opportunity for them to do some stuff. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, if there's a whole lot of people that if they all... Like, we got Jamie Hayter out injured, could come back soon. We got Kyle O'Reilly, we don't know when he's coming back. Adam Cole's injured. MJF is injured. There's a lot of people that are injured. But this year, if a lot of those big names come back, we could have, we could have a show on our hands. I'm waiting for AEW to hit the groove again. It usually happens after WrestleMania because that's the opportunity to capture an audience, is after the big show. But we'll see. We'll see how they go. I'm hoping the arrival of Mercedes Moné means more women's matches on TV. Because the AEW women's booking lately, obviously there's been a limited amount of matches, but there's actually been some good stuff in there. So, yeah, hopeful for that. Also, Kyle O'Reilly being back would be a reason enough to watch the show. I shared a clip with you recently of, I think it was him and Ricochet in PWG. And Kyle couldn't do the kip up, so he tricked Ricochet into helping him, then he kicked him in the head and did the kip up and did the Rick Rude hip thrust. Hip swivel, I should say. Fucking hilarious. I missed that guy. He's been out for nearly 2 years. Like, I think it's like, well, close. It's like one and 3/4 years since like mid 2022. Sucks, man. Now Bobby Fish is in MLW, I think. Where is the lie?
Where's the lie?
Where's the lie? Anyway, get well soon, Kenny. He's another one that's out. Kenny Omega. He's also out. Yeah, really sucks for them. Anyway, thank you. I bid you adieu. A good night and a goodbye. Bye-bye.